Welcome back to the show, The Entertainment Files. Well, we are very, very excited about our guest today. He is truly world famous as a world-class magician, Jeff McBride.
Well, I'm here, I'm warming up, I'm ready to go, and
right.
what do you want to know? I can tell you anything you want to know about magic, about me, about the history and mystery of whatever you want, but I'm not going to tell you how it's done.
Well,
we can't
we
go
want
back
to know
to
it
the
all.
beginning. That's right. Can we start at the hunter-gatherer period? Go right back to the beginning.
Yeah,
Let's start the Paleolithic era.
The Paleoterific era, when everything was just perfect and everybody lived in bliss.
That's right. And we want to talk now masks. I mean, that's the other thing. I think of you as a magician, but you're probably one of the foremost experts on masks.
I have one of the largest mask collections in the world, and it comes from my world travels because I tour a lot internationally because magic is an international language. And I started collecting masks as a kid. I was deathly afraid of the dark, like a lot of young kids. So I figured that if I couldn't beat them, I'd join them. So I started getting Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine and looking at all the Don Post comics. And I remember it was the day of my first Holy Communion. I used to go to Catholic school. And in the mail, I received my $7, was my life savings at that point, Don Post Wolfman mask. So I'm in full First Holy Communion attire with a little suit and the little flowers and the special little saint medallion, and I have this over-the-head Wolfman mask on, and I'm running around the schoolyard, and the nuns kind of freaked out, and I said, I have something here.
You got it.
I have something here. I have a hook.
Now,
this is my edge.
Were you doing magic at that point?
No, I wasn't
the
doing
masks
magic.
came first.
First was the masks. What
That's
I would do is I
interesting.
would put on the masks, and I'd put on gloves with cardboard fingernails. And I grew up in upstate New York in the mountains, so what I would do, I didn't have any shows because I didn't do magic then, so my only shows were running around to the neighbors' windows and pounding on the windows and with my masks on and scaring them, and they'd wave, and there's Jeff. And
So you were kind of freaky.
Yeah, I was a freaky
I'm glad
kid.
I wasn't your
This
neighbor.
is good to know. I guessed as much. And Bob Dylan, one of my favorite people, very mask-oriented, on one of the great bootlegs on Halloween, he said, well, it's Halloween, I'm here, and I'm wearing my Bob Dylan mask.
Oh.
So is this the Jeff McBride mask?
Well, I think I have a lot of masks that I wear at different times, but I think we all do, you know. We wear a different mask when we're with our girlfriend than we do when a cop pulls us over on the side of the road for a parking violation. A little bit different mask goes on there.
Do we have misconceptions about what a mask is? I mean,
Does it hide you, or what does a mask do?
I think, and
that's sort of what the public perception is.
That's
a
right.
mask reveals a lot more than it conceals, I feel. People think they can hide behind masks, but I feel we have a lot of latent personalities, that we're a lot of different people, that we have this whole role of marionettes and puppets that come out at different times. You're a different guy when you have a suit on than when you have jeans and cowboy boots on, you know, and that becomes part of our social mask because our clothing is a social mask. You know how cool we feel when we put on those certain sunglasses and feel a little bit like a rebel without a clue or something, you know, or Halloween comes around, people dress up, they play fantasy time. New Year's Eve, people, you know, do the same thing.
Now, Halloween, that's your holiday, right?
That's the Celtic New Year.
That was a big one for you. Did you just love Halloween?
Well, you know, every day is Halloween for me because of with the masks, and I think that's a great day for living out your fantasy. You know, people work all year sometimes on their...
And they let loose.
Yeah.
Well,
now, traveling around the world, are you picking up masks right from the mask makers? Do you go to a country?
Go to the villages. I'm getting ready to go again to
Really?
Bali, and they have mask-making villages there. In Italy, they have mask-making. Everywhere around, there's...
Do you have a favorite country or culture to pick up
I
masks?
like the Italian leather Commedia dell'arte masks. Those are some of my favorites.
No, we're looking blankly. What the heck is that?
Okay, those are the half masks.
That's right. I had to
Commedia
throw that.
dell'arte. Everybody knows what Commedia dell'arte. Basically, Commedia dell'arte is Gilligan's Island great-great-grandfather. Basically, you have all these different characters. In the Commedia dell'arte, you have Doctore, who's like the professor, who's, you know, and you have Pantalone, who's the old miser, which would be the Thurston Howell. You have Pierrot or Harlequino, which would be Gilligan. Capitano, which would be the skipper. But back during the Renaissance, these classic leather masks that are half masks so the actors can play. But they're archetypes, they're classic characters that are all over the world, and they're sculpted out of leather. Also, I like Japanese masks because I've been studying kabuki.
I see a lot of that in your
you know what, we should take, we have a clip
Well,
that we would like
home?
to see. Yeah, we want you to see some of Jeff's masks and the magic and the mask blend that he does.
The many faces of Jeff
Look at
McBride.
that's right. Here's one of them. That was Jeff McBride, Masks and Magic. That's
Beautiful.
very impressive.
Very beautiful.
Well, I got the idea for the masks not for magic right away. I just collected masks, and I guess I had a lot of energy as a kid, and I wanted to be a rock and roll drummer. So I started taking out music books in the library, and right next to the music books was this strange-looking books with top hats and crystal balls, and I went, hey, this looks pretty interesting. And it was a magic book, and the first thing it said in it was, a magician never reveals his mysteries. So I made the book disappear. I figured, hey, I'm good just listening to
Straight
the
out with
instructions
that
here.
one.
Magician never reveals his secrets. I don't want the kids knowing. So I kind of borrowed this book in 3rd grade well through high school. I never returned it to the library.
Could be a hefty you now.
That's right.
And
You're
I-
still doing all these tricks, right?
Still doing all the tricks, same tricks. And I started combining the magic with my other passions, with the martial arts. I was studying martial arts around that time, and the drumming. And then around 16 years old, I had this magic act together, right? No masks yet, but just birds, kind of classic magic. You know,
Manipulative stuff.
Manipulative
Yeah.
stuff. You're a guy in a puffy shirt and a bow tie. But 16 years old, what are you going to do? You know, I had long hair and rock and roll boots and stars and moons.
You still
know.
have long hair. You still have a rock and roll outfit on. You got rings on your thumb.
That's
now.
right.
You
Not a lot
haven't-
has changed.
You haven't changed that much.
Okay, well, I was
But
in
you
training
discovered
then. I
the
was
magic.
in showbiz training then.
And who was your? Did you have somebody you watched on TV? I mean,
Really, my big influence was when I went to Japan. I was
really?
the opening act in Japan, and I saw the Kabuki Theater. And I saw the Kabuki Theater, and the people with their masks and their costume was very ritualistic and very stylized. And I came back into America after being exposed to this. I was doing a tour as the opening for a rock band there. And
At what age?
16.
At 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
16. I had to drop out of high school for a couple of months to do the tour. I came back, and the guidance counselors were saying, you know, you're pretty good at this magic stuff. Do you want to go to university? I said, I want to study Kabuki theater and mime.
All right.
And they looked and they said, well, you know, there's
Kabuki
not
101.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's New Jersey State College. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to New York City to study mime and dance and work at a magic shop. That was my training. And my early influences were really people like David Bowie and Alice Cooper, Marcel Marceau, you know, very kind of ritualistic performers that did larger-than-life things, but also took people on a real magical adventure with their music or their performance. I didn't want to be your typical magician, and audiences in New York wouldn't stand for it. You're up in front of a rock and roll audience, and it's like, hey, we've timed our drugs for the headliner. You know, who's this guy out here, you know, doing card tricks? So I had to really get a hook, and my hook was the masks, putting on the masks. The costume was very theatrical, and I combined it with the martial arts and the music and the costumes, and I had something that no one else had. And that's when people like Tommy Tune started seeing me, and then put me in Atlantic City, and then I came out here to Vegas.
Because it's beautiful watching you. I mean, it's like
gorgeous.
a canvas, and you're a painter painting this beautiful picture. I'm wondering, when you're traveling around, do the cultures keep like the kabuki? Is it still alive and well in Japan?
Oh yeah, I mean, Kabuki theater is it's a phenomenon over there. Some of the biggest stars in Japan are Kabuki theater stars, and they all know their name. And it's a really it's a popular theater as well as it is a classical cultural theater. It's kind of, when you go to a Kabuki theater Japanese performance, it's a cross between being at like a philharmonic and a baseball game at the same time, because the fans are yelling out the names and they're eating sushi in the theaters, and it's really raucous.
Well, we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back. We want to talk about more aspects of your magic. We're going to be back with more Entertainment Files, talking with Jeff McBride.
Welcome back to the Entertainment Files. We're talking with magician Jeff McBride, recently voted the best magician by the critics in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And Jeff, I wanted to ask you about a quote that you said. It was in a documentary, Man Alive, the Canadian Broadcasting Company. And you said that reality can change without notice at any time. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think that's what the magician offers in society. I think that's the popularity of the magician, is that he reminds you that there's surprises every second and that we don't have all of the information. Worldviews change. And the magicians are the ones that continuously remind us that change and transformation is the essence of life. My mask work is about transformation. My card work is about transformation. They have underlying kind of metaphors and stories that go with them. Years ago, even something as simple as playing cards was thought to be, you know, this very ancient book of occult and esoteric knowledge that that Las Vegas is built on, a deck of playing cards.
Speaking of
Do you have
cults, they
cards?
used to,
Yeah,
wait,
cards.
all right.
I like
Cards.
the look of this. You do
Okay.
something.
Now, years ago, the playing cards were the tarot cards. It was actually a book. And we've all seen tarot cards, and you can't walk into a casino without running into stacks and stacks of tarot cards. Because I guess that gamblers and people in Las Vegas are people that want to tap into some kind of magical power. You know, I'll let you look through those.
All right.
Now, these cards, thousands of years ago, all of the great wisdom and all the esoteric teachings were kept in the great library of Alexandria, right? This is where all the magic books were kept, but there was a problem. People kept on burning the library and burning all the magicians, so they figured out something had to be done. So all the scholars and artists created a picture book of symbols that could protect the ancient mysteries. Now, to protect the book from being burned, they cut the book up into separate pieces, and they disguised all of those symbolic lessons in the form of a gambling game, playing cards, because they knew that if man remained true to his vice, because they knew gambling would live on forever, that his very vice would remain his true advice. So all of those ancient teachings were put in a pictograph form so they would survive beyond language, beyond boundary, and beyond time itself. Now, the modern day playing cards are the great-great-grandchildren of the tarot cards. And even though the pictures are different, the correspondences between a deck of cards and the tarot are astounding. Now think about it. There are 52 cards in a deck, which represent the 52 weeks of the year. There are 4 suits in a deck of cards that represent the 4 seasons of the year, 2 hot and 2 cold, like the 2 red and the 2 black suits. There are 13 cards in each suit that represent the 13 phases of the moon. You see? And if they can be used as a lunar calendar. And if you count the number of values on all the cards, if you add up all of the numbers, they number up to 364, plus the Joker is 365. They can be used as a solar calendar. And the suits, hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades are actually metaphysical symbols for the 4 elements, air, fire, water, and earth. So even though these are just pieces of paper for a gambling game, they have deep roots in mysticism, as well as all gambling environments like Las Vegas is built on divination systems. You have dice, wheels of fortune, cards, luck, chance, lady luck, and so people come here looking for magic, and that's why, one of the reasons why Vegas is the magic center of the world.
That's right. That's very interesting, and the knowledge within the cards.
Right.
That was to keep you getting burned alive as a witch. Now, I have a question. I'm going to go. Are you now, or have you ever been a real magician? You know magic way too well.
Well,
You've balanced a career, have you not, of being able to support yourself, a magician in your soul, by actually being a magician and doing it for people. Have you enjoyed that? Does that give you an inner sense of excitement?
Well, years ago, real magicians, you know, if they told anybody they were a real magician, they would get burned at the stake. And I've recently done that. And I'll tell you about that in a second.
Okay.
Today, if you tell you that you're a magician, they build you a showroom.
That's
You know,
right.
things change.
That's
Change,
right.
transformation. Old ideas fade away. And magicians are the ones that keep reminding us that there's new information out there. Magicians always access that. I'll tell you about my witch burning. That's coming up on Champions of Magic.
Yes.
Okay, years ago, if you claimed you had magical powers, and if the village wanted to know, they would burn you at the stake. If you survived, you were innocent.
Catch
If
22, huh?
yeah, no, if you survived, you were innocent, and if you got burned to death, you know, then you were guilty. And so I did the classic witch burning, 2 tons of wood, 900 gallons of liquid fuel,
Yeah.
chained, 50 feet of chain.
I thought it was hot in this studio. Now I'm getting really
600
hot.
degrees.
600 degrees.
It was filmed on the beach of Monaco, and it's coming up December, Champions of Magic.
Now, obviously,
ABC.
it's here, but did anything go wrong?
In the rehearsals, we were rehearsing, and there was a lot of problems, and some of the problems are actually caught on film, so you'll see some of the little snafus.
Talking about film, we have another clip I would love
This is
everyone
from
to get
Caesar's
to see.
Palace,
This is
yes.
from Caesar's, coming right up. There you go, a little more Jeff McBride. And you can be seen locally at Caesar's Magic Empire, correct?
The Magical Empire is the most astounding complex.
really
It's a
is.
whole
It's
journey.
incredible.
You go 7 stories under the earth into an ancient city, and instead of watching a show, you're part of the show. You become an initiate into this magic world, and you go through the catacombs and into a dining chamber, and there's wizards that serve you dinner, and you have this fabulous meal. And then you get led through the corridors and mazes into this huge rotunda where they have this giant fire ritual and the special effects. And then one of the things that makes the Magical Empire unique is the close-up magic. It's the only place really in the world that you can get that close to the magic. And they have the best close-up magicians in the world, Michael Amar, who's
They
a world
do,
champion, Daryl, and some of the finest close-up magicians. So you get to see it right under your nose. And then I take care of the finale experience, which is in the big theater. We do the illusions, and that's where I do the masks and the cards, and we do the illusions and drumming.
It's wonderful.
Calling it a show is an understatement.
very
it's an
exciting.
It's
experience.
environmental
It's an
theater. It's a
experience.
metaphysical funhouse.
amazing.
You know what we
Unforgettable.
have to do? We're running out of time. We do this to every guest. If
Okay.
you were stranded,
The movie picks. We want to know, if you were stranded on a desert island, what 5 movies would you take? You'd have a TV and a VCR. What 5 would they be?
Okay, I might make a card table so I can practice my cards at the top of the TV. I did write down a list. What was, okay, my list of movies here. Natural Born Killers, to remind me that life is good on an island.
yes, there you go. That's
like
a
that.
good one.
Okay, and
Yes.
that I'm not really missing much back
Yeah.
home. But I like the movie because it reminds me about how sane my magical life
Number
is.
2?
Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, yes.
wonderful.
The Italian
movie.
movie, a movie about movies, and see it with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. It's like a really great movie. Baraka.
Baraka, wonderful.
Baraka.
Yes.
Baraka means holy power, and Baraka is all about the mystical and the transcendent, and no words. And Magician of Lublin, to see what
with
happens
Alan
to a
Arkin.
magician
Yeah.
when he really taps into real
love that
magic.
movie.
Great
And
movie.
just for nonsense, Brazil.
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 Great
It's like the
choices.
fantasy, the escape into the imagination, which
Great
what magic
choices.
does.
And they're all on video. Great choices.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Hang around with us. We do some video picks coming up. I would recommend everybody to go out and to see Jeff at Caesar's Magic Empire, wherever you are. Television, you're always a joy to watch.
Well, thank you.
A joy
Thank you,
to talk to.
I'm going to stick around.
We'll be right back with some video picks.
Welcome back to the Entertainment Files, and as you just saw, the answer was going over Niagara Falls. We had to throw in some Houdini trivia there. That was Houdini's most famous film stunt.
That's right. And Houdini, of course, was that a movie that you watched and was a big movie for you?
For years, I thought that's how he died.
That's how he died.
In the water tank, but
It wasn't not a lot
No.
of facts.
that was a myth.
But we've
That's
got
right.
some video picks. Now, I have one. I'll bet you love this movie. Talking about being burned alive. This is in your honor, The Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man, Christopher Lee.
No,
Yes,
yes,
he was
Christopher
in it.
Lee was
Right.
Lord,
And Edward
wonderful.
Woodward was playing the Scottish police detective who
Wonderful
ran into
movie.
some a pagan cult.
Yes, on an island.
I love that movie.
Very good
Written
movie.
by Anthony Shaffer.
I would like to live on that island. That would be the island I would have my videos on.
And the other one, a fun one, you mentioned David Bowie, the Linguini incident. Did you ever see
I've
that?
never seen
it's
that.
It's a classic.
Houdini Princess Waitress. And that's probably a hard one to find. It is on video, but you'll have to look for it.
It is, directed by Dick Shepherd, and quite funny. Bowie is a magician, and the elements. Well, have you got a video pick for us, Jeff?
Well, the Magician of Lublin, if you're doing magic, metaphysics, meetings with remarkable men, the story of Gurdjieff,
Do you know, I saw
Mystic Fire.
Terrence Stamp was in that, wasn't he?
Yes.
Meetings with Remarkable
And
Men.
Mystic Fire video has it, and it is, you can find it.
Yes.
Meetings with Remarkable Men, remarkable movie.
An amazing movie, indeed, and one I've seen made a profound impact on me.
Yeah,
when I
he was
saw
a
it.
trickster. He knew his little tricks.
He was one of the great
Speaking
ones.
of little tricks, if people are watching at home, is there a little trick that you could maybe teach
Well, my
them?
best trick that I teach people is how to make babies stop crying in airplanes and airports. You know, you got that baby that's smoking cigars, you know, next to you in the airport. This is what does it. And it's a very simple trick, and without breaking my oath, it's just this. You show them your incredibly long finger. Now try that at home, and if that just breaks, what it does is it breaks your trance. All of a sudden, it snaps you out of your own personal world, and all of a sudden, things are different. And that's what magic does, and it'll stop a baby crying like that, or make them scream in terror and then run away. Run away.
Run away.
Run away.
You know, another great movie, and I don't think you've seen this one, Fairy Tale, a true story.
It's not out yet.
It is.
Is it out yet?
Not on
It is
video, but at
wonderful.
the theaters.
Go to the theater and catch.
I'm familiar with the story with the fairy photographs and
right.
Sir Arthur Conan
And
Doyle.
Harvey Keitel plays a great Houdini in
I
it.
bet.
And Peter O'Toole plays Arthur Conan Doyle. It's a great movie about belief, magic, all the
Belief,
things
disbelief,
that we
and
love.
hoaxes, and how much people really need to believe.
That's right.
Exactly.
Thank you very much indeed for being our guest on the show, and
Thank you.
we believe that you are just one of the finest magicians around. And
Well, thank you.
Go and
Thank
see
you, Jeff.
Jeff. You will not regret it. Thank you for joining us on the show. We'll see you next week.